Welcome to the GFY Podcast, a podcast by healthcare professionals providing insight on how to navigate your health so that you can go fix yourself. The GFY Podcast is hosted by Mike Bruno, a chiropractor and athletic trainer, and me, Michael Stant, an athletic trainer and certified strength conditioning specialist. Although we are healthcare providers, we are not your healthcare provider. We will discuss general health interventions in this podcast, but you should not take that as health advice that works in every situation. Before doing anything on your own or making any lifestyle changes, please consult with your own physician. This podcast and views from this podcast are separate from our full-time jobs and our own opinions. If you're enjoying the GFY podcast, please leave us a review on your listening platform or subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube page. Links to our show can be found in the show notes on any platform that you're listening to. Bruno, how's the caffeine withdrawal going?
Caffeine withdrawal is done and dusted. So my whole goal was to have, caffeine be more of a want than a need. So this past week I was traveling with the U.S. soccer, and the level of caffeine that those guys are at, because you're starting work at 8 a.m., probably not going to bed or you're not done until 8 p.m. On a typical day. So it's a lot of time being alert and attentive, and it's 7 days a week. So especially when you're in camp. So they hired a barista. It's just for coffee orders to hang out outside where we were all set up, which was awesome. But I did not indulge. I lied. I had 2 decaf drinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's a lot of temptation right there, just like a barista in your face.
Yeah. And in my room, I had one of those fancy Nespressos. Didn't use that. So now, going through that for an entire week, I am confident in where I'm at. So yesterday, I wanted to enjoy a little espresso on a little date with my fiance. So I did that, and I was levitating until 10 o'clock at night, just because I guess my body wasn't used to it anymore, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. So.
Is going off a little, not off topic, on the same topic for you. I forget what the Instagram account is that I follow, but there's 2 different studies. One study showed that if you have 400 milligrams or more within 12 hours of going to bed, it'll affect your sleep and screw you up. But if you have 100 milligrams or less within 4 hours of going to bed, it doesn't do a thing. So right. I'm assuming that the espresso that you had could have possibly had more than 400 milligrams.
It was a double. Yup. 400. I don't know.
That's a lot. 400 is a lot.
Yeah. If a cup of coffee is 100 and espresso shot's 100, so maybe 200-ish. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And more people are some people are more, I don't want to say resistant, but used to caffeine. They climb for some people caffeine doesn't do anything. For my dad, I would watch him at 8 o'clock at night have a cup of coffee in his hand, falling asleep on the couch as he was sipping it. It was absolutely insane.
My uncle lived with us for a while, and he would leave the house at 8:30 at night and be like, "Hey, you need anything from Dunkin' Donuts?" I'm like, "Why are you going to Dunkin' Donuts now?" He's like, "Oh, I'm getting a coffee." I'm like, what? Because he lives in California, didn't have Dunkin' out there, so when he got here, it was Dunkin' Donuts and Girl Scout cookies were the 2 things he was missing out in California. So don't forget
Girl Scout season.
Now it is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, before we get into all of our health and wellness stuff, did I ever tell you about the time that I got scammed by a Girl Scout?
You got scammed by a Girl Scout. You keep go.
No, I thought I got scammed by a Girl Scout. So I'm at my parents' house, and it was right after a snowstorm, and knock on the door, open the door. It's this 8-year-old girl, and it's basically blizzarding, windy. There's a bunch of fresh snow on the ground, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to buy some Girl Scout cookies?" And I'm like, "Where are your parents?" She's like, "Oh, I live around the block. They just let me walk around." I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll buy some cookies, but I don't have my wallet. I have to go down into the basement and whatever," and because all my stuff was down there. She's like, "Okay." And I was like, "It's freezing if you want to stand inside while I go do that." And she was like, No, I can't go inside. I was like, I sound like such a
stranger danger. Stranger danger.
And as soon as I said that, I closed the door, and I was like, it's not what I meant. And like, it was so bad. And then anyway, I go outside, give her the money for the cookies. I'm a what's the peanut butter one? The tagalongs. I'm a tagalongs guy. I like the Samoas, which is the coconut one.
I think those are like the two main ones that everyone talks about.
Thin mints are the other one. Yeah. Those ones in the freezer, pro tip. But yeah, so she has this like big, like essentially like poster thingy and I was like, okay, filled out my, name, phone number and everything. And then she just like took my money and like went, okay, bye. And like left. And I'm sitting there like, there is no, well, yeah, because they had to get sent. They get sent to you.
Oh, and, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I didn't know when they were going to be sent, if she was going to be able to read my handwriting, like anything. And I was like, this girl definitely just stole my money. So I'm sitting there telling a story like this girl scammed me for like a month or so. And then the cookies came and everything was hunky dory. But I did think I got scams by a girl.
Yeah, scam. I think how long ago was that? Now they have like a website and stuff like that. You go through for kids and you can order it through like a kid specifically.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, a couple years ago. It's like recently.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know who is Girl Scouts like their own organization, like or is someone probably owns them. Like I don't know.
Probably.
They're part of some conglomerate, probably.
Yeah, probably owned by McDonald's.
Big food owns them.
Yeah, we should talk about, not today, but we should talk about. I always talk about like air fryers being like big oven. You know what I mean? So
you mean that was how ovens had to get more sales, so they create air fryers.
Yep, exactly. Big chapstick. Like chapstick's definitely a scam for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just use Vaseline. Or,
big sunscreen. That's actually one that's pretty interesting. We can talk about that and being outside and all that fun stuff. I'm a big shade
we could
guy.
we could talk about a lot of things about like how the food pyramid came about, and really it's just like a lot of funding by like all these big food companies to push their products on American people. But
yeah, like 90% of consumables products across the board are like owned by like 5 or 6 parent companies.
Yeah, I think Nestle is like the biggest one when it comes to like water. Like they own although there's like 20 different water bottle companies, they're all actually Nestle or something like that. It's something insane.
That's so funny. It's like you think you're like, oh no, I'm buying this one because I don't like what they stand for. Meanwhile, they're all owned by the same person.
I mean, if you remember our buddy Pat, he refused to get Venmo, but said you could PayPal me, and PayPal owned Venmo like at the time. Like it was him trying to just make a decision.
Shout out to Pat Reynolds being an absolute dingus. Oh man.
All right. So what's new in research? So quick little study for you. It wasn't actually, I think they had like 80 people in this study, people aged 50 to 83. And they're looking to see what would happen to their memory if they did a little bit of activity. They said moderate to vigorous activity the day before. So they would test their memory. Some people did moderate to vigorous activity. Some people did less. Some people didn't do a thing. And then they retested the memory and all these people 24 hours later. What they came to find out was the people that actually did the moderate vigorous activity, and that really included just brisk walking, going up steps, something to get your heart rate up more so than you typically would. The people that actually did it, their memory scores were better. And because this was actually all tracked, all the activity was tracked through fitness tracker type of deals, wearables, they also had insights on sleep, and those that did the activity also got better sleep as well. And then on the flip side, the people who didn't do anything, their memory scores actually went down from not doing anything, and then their sleep was just as crappy as before. So, I think we generally get that sense. And, for me personally, I always got to tucker myself out throughout a day. Like that's actually what I call it. Like if I don't tucker myself out, it's like I'm up at night for no good reason.
What are you, a golden retriever puppy? You tucker yourself out? I mean,
multiple walks a day.
yeah, I forget where I heard it, but someone said something along the lines of if you could take all the benefits of exercise and put them into a pill, it'd be like the most popular pill on the market, because it has all these downstream downstream effects that people don't realize. So if you thought, oh, I need to exercise to get healthy and blah, 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 but I need to exercise to improve my sleep, or I need to exercise to improve my memory, those aren't things that are very obvious to the average person. So that's a very interesting study to bring up for our listeners.
Yeah, and then they reference this study too. It was back in 2016. They actually did a similar study, but they did it based on like high intensity interval training. So really trying to jack up your heart rate, and they saw
really tuckering yourself out.
Yeah, really tucker myself out, and they saw similar things of like they did that, and then they immediately. Then that wasn't even like testing their memory 24 hours. That's also like you do that, and then you go and do some work. Like they tested their memory, but the whole idea was like, all right, you did that workout. Now you're going to go work for the day, and you're just more mentally alert. You're able to do some more stuff throughout. So, it really is a good way to kind of start off your day.
Yeah. So these people were doing morning exercise. Was it that specific?
I don't know. I didn't go deep enough in that one. That was a 2016 study, but There is a little bit like, right. I don't think it has to be morning per se, but whenever you do it immediately after, you got, the benefits of better short-term memory.
Yeah. I personally prefer working out in the morning. After a long, hard day, the last thing I want to do is get after it. Yeah. Even if I'm like pissed off, like people go to the gym to like relieve stress. I don't.
Yeah, like I've done both. Because my old job, it was, I was working 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 7 to 5. So like there wasn't really an opportunity for me to get in anything in the morning. So I would go in the afternoon, evening, and I did it. It wasn't fun. Like a lot of times I would have coffee at like 11 because I would be like, I don't think I'll be able to focus enough to actually get a good workout in. To be honest, I think the best thing to do is actually plan the workout. Like if you actually plan it and bring it with you to the gym, that's the easiest way to maybe bypass all that, because you feel committed as soon as you write it down to paper. It's definitely a psychological thing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, so going off of that, did we talk about, I forget how many episodes ago this was, but talking about like taking like your big goal and breaking it down into like smaller, more like digestible goals. So for my big goal, one of the pieces to help me get like the daily things that I can do to get me there is at night before I go to bed, what's like the number one thing I have to attack when I sit down to do work the next day. And leaving, like, it's easy enough to put a note in your phone, but I wasn't doing that. So I put a pen and paper right on like the nightstand, and I was laying in bed last night and I didn't do it. And I was like, damn it. And
you lazy sack of shit. Like,
well, no, I'm staring. I'm staring. I'm staring at it. Like, I need to write something down. So like when it came time to today, like this morning, I knew what I was doing. So like making that a more consistent habit is going to have downstream effects on productivity, Yeah.
Sweet. What is this? You gonna throw some "did you know" at me off of that? Usually you blend right into it.
Usually I'm on the I'm prepping you. Did you know? No, I didn't have one off of that. I'm scrambling.
Yikes.
But go ahead.
It grinds my gears. You not having a "did you know"? I'm joking.
I might have. This might be a reusable one, but it's the one that's coming to mind. So, did you know more consistent small efforts is more beneficial than less consistent larger efforts?
I agree with that. Like, I think about running. So, right, you set that goal. You set the big goal of that 13.1 or 26.2, and even trying to program. And this is where I even get mixed up. It's like trying to program 12 weeks out 18. Like it gets hard because you just don't know what happens in life. Like even for me personally, I was supposed to do a long run this past Saturday. I started running on Saturday. I'm like, I feel like shit. I don't know what's going on. I just capped it and said I'll do it Sunday because I had the ability to do it Sunday. Did it Sunday yesterday. Felt completely fine with that. But that's why, like, even then it's like, okay, that those little goals of like, I need to get out 6 days a week, or like, I just need to run, like, need to do 1 mile, 2 miles, like, at least being consistent with those small little runs definitely helps me.
Oh, absolutely. And you're at a phase now where you are very well educated and very well trained. So for you, it's the ability to get more detailed is what is like pushing the needle in the right direction. For someone who's like getting off the couch, like just showing up is the biggest thing. There was actually a guy who his goal wasn't even to work out. It was to physically show up to the gym. So like the first 2 weeks, he got out of bed, he put his clothes on, he drove to the gym, and he walked inside, looked around, and walked out.
That's definitely to the extreme to do that, like just to show
right.
up.
But this guy's like never worked out before. Like he was intimidated, he was nervous. So after doing that for like a week, it's like, all right, I can do something. So he like sat down on the closest machine and looked at it and was like, oh, let me just like pump out a few reps. And before you know it, like that guy had a transformation over like a year or so, and he lost a bunch of weight, got like all the positive downstream effects. And it was like, but he came back and he told that story because people are so nervous to get started. Oh, this is a Hormozy quote. Fear is a mile wide, but an inch deep. So if you think about like looking at the ocean or the lake, it's like you're looking at all this open water and you're like, I can't swim. That looks super intimidating. And then you take the first step and it's only an inch deep and you're just like, oh, I'm fine. Right. But you don't know it. You don't know until you're in it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be, Arnold Schwarzenegger day one. So the ability to manage your own expectations, it goes one of two ways. People start light and gradually build, which is what I'll call the right way. But then there's the other set of people who will like chronically underload themselves. So as an example, there's a gym in the area where if you go and work out there, 80% of people like still like look like couch potatoes. Meanwhile, they're going to the gym 6 days a week. So it's like, okay, you're showing up consistently, you're doing stuff, right? But it's like, this is a conversation I actually have with my mom a lot because she talks about like, hey, I want to lose weight and this and that. And I'm like, okay, what like exercises are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm taking the dog for a walk. Like, okay. Like, has that gotten you the results that you wanted? Like the weight loss that you wanted? No. Okay. Are you doing anything about it from like a diet perspective? It's like, yeah, I'm doing this and doing that. It's like, okay. Have you considered
a lot of people on the diet perspective, they always kind of what they think is actually good is a lot of times not that me and you are nutrition experts, but like it's like, hey, go read the nutrition facts real quick and you'll quickly realize it's not what you think.
Right. So for something I talk about with my clients a lot is, especially if they're either getting back into exercise or they don't know, like how hard to push themselves. We talk a lot about RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. So like how hard the exercise feels. So as an example, Sally's in the gym and she's been using 10-pound dumbbells for everything for a year, right? Because it feels easy. And she's like, at least I'm going to the gym, right? But Sally's friend, Susie, who's standing right next to her, she starts at the exact same place with those 10-pound weights. But as soon as those weights don't feel like a 7 anymore, they feel like a 2 or a 3. They feel super easy. And Sally moves up, or Susie moves up to 15s, to 20s, whatever. So in a year time span, I mix them up. Sally's stuck at the 10s.
You shouldn't pick two S's. That was bad.
Sally's stuck in the 10s, doing the same exact thing she was a year ago. and Susie's made all this progress. They're both going to the gym the exact same days. They're both doing the exact same workouts, but one got far more results than the other one. Why? Right? It's not. And in that scenario, it's not genetics. It's not anything fancy. It's, I mean, everyone calls it progressive overload. Like, that's the technical term.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, whatever it is, you have to challenge yourself, right? So my mom is an example. If she's going for a mile walk with the dog, let's say for whatever reason she doesn't want to do weight training, right? Can you go 5 miles with the dog? You know, as an example.
Wear a vest, like you can wear a weighted vest or something.
Wear a weighted vest. Can you do, like, can you stop in the park and do some squats and lunges? I don't know. Can you sprint with the dog? Like add something to make it harder, you know? And if you don't do that, you'll get stuck in the mental rut more than anything of like, I'm doing the stuff, right? But even if it's the right stuff, if you're doing like a little bit of the right stuff, but the result requires this much of the right stuff, it doesn't matter. Like, you still have to do enough to get the result, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think kind of that example, a lot of people forget like the progressive, like you have to attempt to keep doing it hard. And now, right, always increasing weight isn't one way to do it. Like in that scenario, it could have been, okay, she just decided to just increase reps the entire time, or decide to change the exercise so that it taxed her differently or harder. Yeah, like there's different ways to do it for sure. So like, yeah, definitely there's no cookie cutter method to it, but a lot of it's very simple. Like it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out.
Yeah, it's progress, and it is very simple. It's not very easy.
Yeah.
So that's where like planning and all that stuff comes into play, because there's so many different ways to go about it. They're like, I don't know, what should I do? And like you said, you went on your long run, you scheduled the long run, you had it all planned out, and it's like, I don't have 100% today. I have whatever, 50%. Yeah. So I can either give that 50%, might not finish the workout, might be slower, might be whatever, or I can recognize it, put a pin in it, and then prepare myself to do it tomorrow. And that's what you chose to do. So kudos to you. But that is a struggle that I see a lot of people have, and in the rehab setting as well. Like, a second I give them an exercise, I'm like, do I have to do this every day? Like, how often do I have to do it? Right. And from a baseline intervention standpoint, I would much rather them do like 1 set of 10 when they wake up, 1 set of 10 as a break during their work day, 1 set of 10 at lunch. Like, so they end up getting 5-6 sets throughout the day versus sitting there and doing 3 sets before a workout. You know, from a pain perspective, from a consistency perspective, like, it's going to be more effective that way.
Yeah.
No one eats a log of salami. Everyone eats it in slices.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feel like the first time you tried giving me that analogy, it made 0 sense to me. But that one was a very good analogy.
Because you're about as Italian as like a beluga whale, dude. I don't know.
No, I do like the, trying to do stuff throughout the day, especially like honestly any injury, even like the acute injury stuff. It is funny, like that's something they always ask, how often should I do this, should it be that? And like a lot of times my answer is like, I think it's exactly what you said. Hey, morning, lunch, evening at the very least, instead of all at once. And it's funny that you kind of said that, because there's also research talking about, like, this is going way out there, but right, like glucose stabilization and stuff, like how your blood sugar goes after meals. And it kind of talks about how, like, if you want it to regulate better, like, you want to go on like multiple physical activities throughout the day, as opposed to like doing all your activity in the morning and then you sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours. Like, it kind of works very similarly, even when there's no pathology or injury or whatever going on.
If I'm feeling cheeky, it's like, how often should I do this? It's Well, you shouldn't do it too much, but you definitely still need to do it enough to work. You know, and that's why I don't give sets and reps usually, because that's like basically like you're trying to follow an exact recipe when your environment day to day changes drastically. So you show up with different ingredients every single day. Like if I told you, Mikey, you have to run 7 miles today, and you had that feeling and you're like, I feel like crap. I'm not going to be able to do it at the pace that's required. And I was like, well, you still got to do it. It's a very different situation.
So what would you typically give? Like you would go on that RPE side and be like, do it until you feel like it's a 4 out of 10. Like if you're trying to hit like a certain volume or reps, or like this is something like that, I'm assuming. And
I really like it for the reverse effect too, because some of the exercises when you're chasing improving range of motion, the goal is counterintuitive because the goal is an absence of feeling. So usually when you're doing an exercise, you want to feel it right here. You want to feel the burn or something along those lines. With a lot of the exercises that improve range of motion, it's like, hey, let's get the hips moving as an example through this pattern, and you should feel basically no muscle activity. So your RPE should be like a 1 or a 2. So you can do this watching TV or laying on the floor before you while you're winding down for the day, you know?
Gotcha. No, that's cool. Yeah, I've never really thought about that with the range of motion stuff of like you shouldn't feel it, like in a sense, or like it should be stuff that is so easy to do that it's generally incorporated throughout your day.
Yeah, if you feel some of the exercises, like you should feel something, some of them you shouldn't. So that's exactly why you have to know that. And for the exercises where you should feel nothing, if you do feel something, it's not effective. It's not doing the thing you want it to do. So a lot of people I put like in the all gas, no brakes category, they're like, oh, if you said 5 is good, I should do 500, right? Those people have a really hard time with that concept.
Yeah, a lot of people have a hard time with that concept where if a little is good, then a lot is better.
Yeah.
And that's usually it's just not necessary most of the time.
No, more is not better. Better is better.
Yep. All right. I think we end it there. Because we ended up talking a decent amount.
Yeah, we did. All right. Mikey, what do you want the listeners to go do?
I want them to go fix themselves.
Say it a little happier, dude. You look like you're kind of threatening them. Go fix yourself.